If you're in business today, there are things you can do to have an instant cash flow surge that builds the opportunity for your business. Whether you want money to boost your retirement savings, to expand your business, or just to create a rainy day fund, understanding the principles that I'll share with you today will help you transform your cash flow in business to be much more successful, to be much more prosperous, to generate additional revenue that builds your business and your wealth. I'm Justin Hitt with Sustainable Wealth Secrets, and I'm going to share some of the background that's really critical to understand that helps you create instant cash flow surges for your business. Now, what exactly is an instant cash flow surge for your business? Well, most of the year, you may be bringing new customers on board to your organization. Most of the year, you may be generating leads. And revenue's good, it pays the bills, but you knew if there was a way just to simply jump the level of your income, basically big money in big chunks, that you would do it. And especially if it had very low overhead, especially if it didn't require a lot of effort from your staff, because a lot of times companies run really thin, but it basically perhaps doubled your job value. Now, job value is very important. There's the amount you're charging the customer, there's the amount of the value your customer is getting or perceived value your customer has, and then there's ultimately the net profit of your job. Now, when I work with clients, these could range from how we manage work in progress. So a lot of companies do all the work up front and then they get paid later. And so you're getting paid late or you're getting paid later, rather than having the value of the money early and knowing which customers you can focus on. And so perhaps we're going to change how you do a deposit or a retainer. Now, it doesn't matter if you're a roofing company or an electrical contractor or an accounting firm or a legal firm, you can get the money up front. And that is a tremendous cash surge, but you can't necessarily spend that money because it's in escrow for your client. But again, it's one of the many examples that we work on when we're helping clients get big money in big chunks or to expand their cash flow or to really build up the business. Now, a lot of times you don't want to have the cash up front. You want to have instead other opportunities, and we can talk about that real quick here shortly. But the key is cash is king, and we're talking about the cash that is net of the opportunity. It is literally finding money in the business that creates either passive income or creates an increase in wealth. Now, what are some of the areas that we can increase in wealth where you may not get cash, but it's worth it over time? So customer equity is something of high value. Now, I'm not talking about loyalty here. I'm talking about equity in customers. So, for example, if we have a sales funnel and you have an initial offer that gets you a customer, and you've added to that an immediate upsell or some value-added funnel that upgrades the client. So maybe you have a good, better, and best option. You get people in on the good option, and then you give them the choice of the better and best. And now instead of confusing them with three choices, you now got them in a funnel where they've already committed to getting good, and now you can offer them a premium or something else, or just to continue the service itself. That's one example. These are ways to find money in your business. You didn't have to go get more customers. If all you have is a basic solution right now, all you had to do is add a premium solution. Now, how should that premium solution be priced? Well, if you're charging and these are ratios. If I say $1, that's a 1 unit. And if I say 10, that's a ratio of 1 to 10. But if you're offering a basic solution for 1 unit, $1, your upsell could be $5, it could be $10, but the amount of extra work you put into it is only a small percentage because, again, there's value add. Where do we find these value adds? Well, it could be intellectual property that we've converted into a product. It could be a different kind of access. So I know, for example, I would just love it if my CPAs would follow up with me. And so if I pay a little bit of extra money, it turns out some CPAs will call me every month to let me know what's going on, or they'll send me a newsletter, and I perceive that as high value. It doesn't cost them much to put somebody on the phone to go through a checklist that's basically provided by their software to make sure that I'm going to have my paperwork ready when they are getting ready to do my quarterly tax return. Think about that. There are ways that you can earn more money through a membership, through a subscription service, through a retainer plan. You can earn more money while helping the clients make your job easier. And again, these are ways to find money in your business. But if you want a cash surge, we need to introduce a new product. We need to have an event. We need to have some kind of bonus, or we even just make an offer to our list. So perhaps you've got clients over the years that have bought the basic service, and now you've added a premium level service. You can go back to all your clients, and if you do it the right way, you're going to have a lot of folks come back in and pick up that high ticket or premium option that's available in your service. Can you see how this might be useful? Can you see how adding another $100,000, $200,000, $1 million to your business could make a massive difference to what you're doing? Now, again, when we talk about cash flow, the focus is on free net cash flow, money left over after the work is done. The particular systems that I use to discover and to activate cash surges in your business, because we're going to find money in your business, and then we're going to see how we can find that money more often, or we can offer that offer that sold really well and was very profitable for you to deliver, offer it to somebody else. Or, for example, a variation of the product that customers would really enjoy and they would really like. The key here is that these are uncommon solutions that your competitors are not going to think of, and if they don't think of, I can show you actually how to do them better. And in fact, I'll give you a few tips right now. Generating leads is a great start. Returning to your existing customers is a great start. But there are other methods, and this is how I help clients. In fact, I've tallied it up. I've helped clients produce $1 billion in the last 23 years. Now, we create some of that through new client acquisition. We create some of that through optimization in the business. I'm really big on business processes. We create some of that through cost savings or cost avoidance. So we look at your procurement side. And then we also look at regulatory risk. Because a lot of you folks start burning that midnight oil, doing things that are a little shady, and then ultimately get hit for regulatory fines when you could have avoided it by having better quality assurance or better structure in how you're delivering a product so that you're more consistent. And again, these cash flow surges are where we take a well-oiled and running organization, and even if it's not well running, we at least have the frameworks to have consistency, and then we go in with a quarterly offer, or we go in with a twice-a-year event, or we do something to boost customer referrals. Imagine if every customer you have referred one new customer over the course of a year. And now we're going to incentivize them to do so because we want the right customers and we want people who pay, stay, and refer. And so if you have a system in place to do that, you can, of course, have cash surges. You can have increases in cash flow. To some folks, especially your competitors, it'll look like you're doing something like somebody waved the magic wand because all of a sudden there's more money. You have to resist spending that money because, unfortunately, some of the clients that I've had, not many of them, but some of them, and I didn't used to do this speech, but when they suddenly have $1 million in cash, they want to do dumb stuff. I'd rather turn that $1 million in cash into a marketing system, into a system for doing services, so that you end up with $2 million in cash, and then you could just piss away the interest on that. So for every $1 million, you can produce about $40,000 in cash each year. I'd rather you just piss away the $40,000 while you've built that equity, while you've built that asset, an asset that cash flows, and while you've built that wealth in your business. Now, what if you don't have a business? Well, because of the way businesses are taxed, it's best to do this in a business because, again, we're looking at free net cash flow. There is no way to avoid taxes when you do this. So you want to get taxed on the minimum amount of money. So if you gross another $1 million and you have $800,000 in combined overhead and your net is $200,000, I want you to get taxed only on the $200,000. If you generate passive income, investment income, royalty income, there really isn't a structure that's better than having a business, except maybe a trust or charitable remainder trust. But ultimately, you will be speaking with a CPA, because when you get another $25,000, $30,000, $100,000 in additional revenue in a quarter above and beyond what you've got before, and sometimes that's your net, you need to make sure you're paying taxes on it, because that can undo things more than anything else. So if we wave our magic wand and you have an instant and massive surge of cash coming into your bank account, we want to make sure that that's covered. So you have to understand we got to keep good records. Now I'm going to look at those records and I'm going to say, okay, well, here's where you have, and here's a report you want to look at. You want to look at your project profitability report and then map that back to the category of project and the category of customer. So we're going to slice and dice your customers to understand which customers are profitable and which customers are not. There are customers that have high touch and high transaction value, but they are not profitable. They're high maintenance. They require a lot of attention. They're more likely to refund. We want to look at your business and we want to figure out which of these customers do we want to incentivize to get more, and then of those incentives, how is it improving our free net cash flow? Because again, there's a serious catch when it comes to cash surges, and especially when I help some of these businesses that have not seen $1 million before. And now, of course, I'm not guaranteeing I'm going to get you $1 million. This is just a podcast. There's more to it than what we're talking about here. But I do want you to understand the opportunities that you can generate big money in big chunks by understanding, again, who are your customers and what type of work is profitable for which type of customer. You could have a job that's profitable for customer A, but not profitable for customer type B. And so we map those things out. We then want to look at your marketing campaigns. Are you offering value in the marketing campaign so that you get customers who pay, stay, and refer? But more importantly, you get customers into a system so you have the lowest overhead possible in that marketing, and you can afford to spend the most money on a customer. Now, you might think, because we're looking at the free net cash flow, that you ultimately want to spend as little money as possible on the customer. But no, I want your marketing to be efficient, where you can spend as much money on the customer, where they have very strong customer lifetime values, where they have high transactions in products that they're ideally matched to solve their problem, but generates a revenue or a profit for your organization, so that you can afford to pay twice or 3 times or 10 times what the competitor pays for the same customer, because you may be in a situation where you have so much free cash that you've got to buy someone else's business, or that you've got to buy more customers now. Now, I kind of promised you an example. There will be times where, to avoid taxes, because you have so much free net cash flow, that you might actually buy customers this year that you're going to serve over the next 3 to 5 years. So I'm going to give you an example of an organization that I worked with, and I worked in business development, and wasn't the only person on the team, so I can't take credit for this, but it was a $22 million company that built up a $100 million backlog. Now, this was a defense contractor. It's not always easy to do this for a commercial company, but if you're an electrical contractor, a roofing contractor, if you're a construction company, a general contractor, if you're an architectural firm, if you're a professional services firm, you can build up a backlog of contracts larger than your company's gross, and now ratchet up your gross while handling the management, because I have to talk a lot about project management. You could get a $100 million contract, but if you can't handle a $100 million contract, it's not going to be worth your time and effort. So again, it's the appropriate scale. It's that cash surge coming into an environment where it's structured properly, and then ultimately producing for you long-term value. Now, I mentioned you don't necessarily want to take this money directly. So if you take $50,000 more dollars from your company, we're going to get involved a tax advisor who's going to look at your situation, because it's possible that you need to earn less money in your personal pocket, and then the rest of the income that you would receive, which is part of your total compensation packages, can make up for all the retirement you never got because you didn't pay yourself when you first started the company. To make up for health care, set aside money in your health insurance plans. That's very important. To set aside capital for growth. Maybe you need to buy inventory. Maybe you need to pay for your house or restructure your family trust. But again, I can't offer you legal advice here because this is, of course, different for every organization. But these are things we're going to look at before you have a cash surge. Because if you have, I did a consultation, a guy had $1 million, extra $1 million. You'd think that would be a good thing. But when you have to pay 50 to 60% in taxes on that, because that's the net of the business that's coming into your compensation, if we don't get people on the phone to talk about how we're going to fund a 401k or a profit plan, if we don't get a profit sharing plan, you can save money by giving money to your employees. This is a very interesting thing, and I'm going to close up with this. Let's say you follow the strategies that I talk about, and you agree that you want to have cash surges in your business. But because these cash surges can work so well when properly implemented, you end up with an extra $100,000 a quarter, and you don't know what to do with it. Now, if you take the money, the federal government and your state government will tax you on that money. And so we're going to leave the money in a business, maybe, or we're going to set up a charitable organization, or we're going to do a profit sharing. But of those three strategies, the structure matters, because it is quite possible that you could use the charitable organization to promote your business in the future. It's quite possible that you could reinvest the money into the business to lower the cost of capital, or to improve employee retention, or to improve tooling, or even set up a profit sharing to reward those customers who are most likely to contribute to repeating that success in the future. Can you see how having the extra capital gives you more choices and more options, but having the knowledge and insight that I can help you with through my strategic consulting gives you the ability for leverage? Because again, every dollar we can produce net in your organization, every time we can do a cash surge, we can grow you by leaps and bounds. We can generate profits that you hadn't seen before. We can generate plans. We can generate a nest egg so that you can take over the competitors and dominate your marketplace. Now, the value of this is immense, but it's not something you want to leave to your competitors. Because again, I've shared a few ideas and concepts here. If you see any of your competitors doing this, you should be scared. Because as soon as they can pay more per customer, and they have better customer lifetime value, and as soon as they figure out how to get free net cash flow, they will dominate the marketplace. And so I have a limited amount of space for the folks that I can help. But of course, if you have any questions, this is the Sustainable Wealth Secrets podcast. I work with $1 million businesses, business owners and executives who want to increase their net worth, want to build their generational wealth, and they do so by converting that income into something that is basically an asset that cash flows. Now, that asset that cash flows can be your business. A business is a great vehicle to implement these cash surge strategies. So if you have any questions about implementing these strategies in your organization today, visit www.sustainablewealthsecrets.com. Go to the contact page and, of course, ask your questions there, or join me in the newsletter, which is a free resource that we make available to our podcast listeners, clients, and more. I want to thank you for being a part of our talk today, where we talk about cash surge opportunities and the importance of having these opportunities available, and the importance of being able to do this within a structure that will sustain that wealth, and then ultimately having the right advisors in place so that you can keep more of that wealth. I'm looking forward to hearing your questions and often helping you with your opportunities. I'm Justin Hitt with Sustainable Wealth Secrets.